Hey, hope everyone's doing okay. I just want to discuss a little bit about conflict resolution and organizational culture. But first, I want to discuss what professional organizations I take part in. So the HFMA, the Healthcare Financial Management Association, the membership started as a requirement for one of our courses. We were able to get CRCR certification and jumpstart the chance to get certified as a certified financial healthcare professional. But now I actually use the resources to stay up to date on financial changes and compliance. And there's actually a lot of great information on there that I use really regularly. Another organization that I actually never anticipated that I would join was actually SHRM, the Society for Human Resources Management. But I'm really glad I did. My HR director was last year's local chapter president, and she suggested I join and come and hang out and check it out. But, for being a small community, the local chapters are actually very engaged and have a really solid presence. It's a great networking situation. I've met all types of professionals across a lot of different industries. And in my opinion, the more people the better chance that you have of improving your own organization. My own HR department is not very big, so a lot of those responsibilities fall on myself, and the supervisor should report to me. So it's important that we all stay up to date on those skills that might help us in our day-to-day operations. Next I'll talk a little bit about conflict resolution. So as a healthcare manager, it seems like literally all we do all day is resolve conflict. When resolving conflict, there are a few components that will determine the success of the intervention. The technical component includes using the correct style for a certain situation. And then there's the relationship component, which means that, hopefully you should utilize the framework that you have already laid regarding good communication and trust among your employees. I view every conflict as important. Even if it's not important to myself personally, it's important to someone. If you don't take these situations seriously, it could cause employees to, go on a bit of a spiral. And in this current working climate, employees are more likely to leave their jobs and look for something else. Some of the biggest HR needs in healthcare right now are basically just filling job openings and trying to staff your facilities. So addressing conflict head on is my favorite way to tackle conflict. Collaboration and compromise are some of my favorite tools. Working together with an employee usually creates the best and most effective resolutions. Interesting, point, when you think of conflict resolution, a lot of times you think of, internal organizational conflicts, but I've found that every year there are more and more conflicts that arise between staff and patients that need addressing as well. Patients are becoming increasingly emboldened and have a stronger sense of how their healthcare should be managed, which kind of creates a delicate situation, but this still needs to be handled directly and assertively. So lastly, I want to touch on how the internal and external environments of an organization impacts the overall organizational culture. First, I really want to mention that I truly believe that organizational culture is the single most important contributing factor to success. More resources should probably be in place to ensure that organizational culture is on point. I consider healthcare organizations to be in basically one of two categories with respect to culture. So they're either in a how can I help you culture, or they're in an it's not my job culture. So it's our job as managers to make sure our staff has an attitude congruent with good organizational culture. By assessing the internal and external environment, we can do just that. Internally, it's important to monitor the strengths and weaknesses, operational effectiveness, and overall strategies of your organization. This view allows an organization to come up with its mission, vision, values, and goals, which are pretty much the cornerstone of organizational culture. You want your employees to be on board with your mission and values. Organizationally, it's important to remember one of my favorite statements, that your vibe attracts your tribe. If people can't be on board with what you're trying to accomplish, they may not be part of your tribe and can't move forward with what you're trying to do. So it's also crucial to utilize the external environment to formulate a plan to improve organizational culture. There are many macro and micro level forces at play that work for and against a healthcare organization. There's always going to be legal, political, public and economic factors that impact an organization. Where I work, I would have to say that competitive forces are one of the most important aspects of the external environment that affects our organization. We're a large private physician owned group with 100 providers, and we're literally located 20 yards from a hospital owned by one of the big three, which is undergoing a $50 million renovation. We get offers to sell every single day, and the fact that we say no and continue to hold out and remain private is one of the things that galvanizes our staff and impacts our organizational culture. It's kind of us against the world, David versus Goliath. We're going to work hard to keep this for ourselves. So, like I said before, culture is everything. Using internal and external forces is important to align organizational values with those of your employees to create a solid atmosphere with a great culture. So thanks, and I look forward to hearing from y'all.